Welcome to part 3 of our heraldic rules and rules of tincture. So if you're going to be designing your own escutcheon, you're going to want to know about the patterns that you can use to make it official. I have emailed your parents as well so they can print this template out for you. Okay? So you're going to notice on the first row, we have what's called a fess, which is a horizontal line going across your shield or your escutcheon. It can be the line, it can be the direction of a sword or a series of shapes. Then we have what's called a pale. The pale is the vertical line up and down, and it can be indicated by the dots, the sword, or a different line. Each of these types of partitions that I'm going over are the ordinaries that you learned about when we did our big new words. Our third is called a bend. Now, this bend is something kind of interesting. If you're a knight and you're wearing a shield, the right side of your shield is called the dexter. The left side is called sinister. Now, the right side is considered to have more valor, more honor, and the left side not as much, but both important. So if we wanted to say that this pattern came down from the upper right down to the left, we talk about it from the view of the knight, not from the view of the observer. So we could say that that would be like a bend dexter, meaning then that it comes from the right, goes down to the left. Next, we have what's called a bend sinister. That's the opposite. It starts on the upper left and goes down to the right. Now, during the time of the knights in England, the husband was considered to have a higher role, and therefore, when you would divide your shield in half, the dexter side or the right side would be the side that had the charge on it that represented the husband or the husband's family, and the right side, which would be the sinister side, would have the charge on it that represented the wife. Remember, we talked about our ordinaries. The ordinaries are the partitions that were used, whether it's a cross to divide the escutcheon in half, or into quadrants, meaning into fours or into thirds. And then the charges are the actual emblems that would be put on that field. So let's take a look at another type of ordinary. We have the cross. We have the saltire, which is like the X in the Roman alphabet. We have the chevron. I know many of you are familiar with the company chevron and the chevron pattern. We have what's called the chevron inverted. Then we have what's called a pall and the pall inverted. So it's a Y and then an inverted or upside down Y. These are all considered ordinaries or types of partitions that you can use. And notice going across each row, there are different symbols that can be used to make these partitions or these ordinaries. And then finally, we have what's called the chief, which is a shield across the top, the base, which is naturally on the bottom, the dexter, which is the right, the sinister, which is the left. Then we have the canton and the sinister canton, meaning in the upper right for the dexter canton or in the upper left for the sinister canton. So while you've seen these patterns on shields, I'm sure many times you didn't know that they had specific names or there were specific partitions or ordinaries that you needed to follow when creating a shield. Then when it comes time for the charges, as we said, can be different emblems. They could be a real animal or some sort of fantasy animal placed on your charge. And then we can use the various colors, the 5 colors. in heraldic design. Please don't forget, only use those 5 colors and follow the rules. So I've emailed a blank template of a crest or a coat of arms that you may wish to use to your parents. And then I've also identified each of the parts as a reference to you if you want to print both out so you know what to put where on your coat of arms. So at this time, I would like for you to design a coat of arms that represents you or your family. Please send your finished product to me. I'd love to see it. Thank you and have a great day.